What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late's Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be making predictions on the NBA awards so far this season. Keep in mind, we're only 2 months in and a lot can change. People can get hurt. People can start making breakout years. It all takes time. So always, as always, take these takes with a grain of salt and let me know what you guys think in the comments if you would make any differences. Without further ado, let's get this started with the one you guys all want to hear about, the Most Valuable Player Award. So throughout this video, I'm gonna sometimes mention some honorable mentions, sometimes I won't, but I just want to say this before I start talking about these two players that are currently my favorites right now. Keep in mind, I did make a video saying Giannis was going to be this season's MVP. My belief in that still kind of stands, but this video is more summed up for how the first 2 months, first month and a half of the season has been going. Now, having said that, I will be crowning Devin Booker as the MVP, even though Tatum and Giannis, like I said, and many other players are making an incredible case for this award. To me, right now, it has to be Book. And that's because the MVP, it's a narrative-driven award. He's currently leading the Suns to the 1 seed in the Western Conference, averaging 30 points, nearly 6 assists, and 5 rebounds on 60% true shooting. And like I said, obviously the MVP is a narrative-driven award, and time again, Booker has just not been brought up in this conversation. Even though it is a regular season award, keyword regular season, I think a lot of people are just sick and tired of the Suns because of their failure over the last 2 series. You know, in the last playoffs, they obviously lost and choked away their lead to the Dallas Mavericks, and the year prior, they choked away their lead in the NBA Finals to the Milwaukee Bucks. But what people need to understand with this take in specific is that Book is doing this with Cam Payne as his starting point guard. And that's no rag on Cam Payne. I am a Cam Payne fan. I think he has great energy on the court and in the locker room and on the sideline. He's always getting involved, just sharing that great energy. And the Suns, they really have loved the kind of production he's brought over the last 18 months with his team. And I'm not saying that Book is the lone horse leading them to the 1 seed. Obviously, they have the guys DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Torrey Craig has been phenomenal to start this year. But the thing is right now, Chris Paul has not been playing. Cam Johnson has not been playing. Other members of this supporting cast, they have missed games. People have been in and out. And not to mention, there was a huge controversy that we're not going to get into. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, starting this season with their old owner. But the Suns, just like the Celtics, are growing into the maturity of their rebuild. And it's just so visible to watch if you actually play. It doesn't matter if people are counting them out or if there was bad energy going into the season. Devin and the Suns have had a phenomenal start to this season. I think they're 15-5 on the year, and they're boasting a 12-1 record at home. They've been remarkably dominant, and Monty Williams has continued his coaching masterclass. This doesn't mean Giannis or Tatum can't win this award, but I will say I'm very proud of how the Suns are just keeping it about basketball. Like I said, the energy going into the season, it wasn't the best with the owners kind of killing the vibe of the entire Suns organization, but Booker and the rest of the cast, they are killing it. Now on to the Defensive Player of the Year award. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. I'm going to select OG Anunoby. Before we do talk about why I have to give it to him, I have to say that Brook Lopez or Giannis Antetokounmpo could snake this award very easily. They're both top 5 in defensive win shares, and the Bucks, they have been amazing this year on the defensive side of the ball, and Brook especially has just honestly submerged himself as the anchor for the Bucks defense down low. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in blocks. The only reason I have to give it to OG Anunoby is that while the Raptors, they have been struggling to start the season. Obviously, a lot of people have been in and out of the lineup, but one thing that has been consistent is he's making every single night about him guarding the other team's best ball handler or player, if you will. Whether it's a point guard, a small forward, a wing, or a point forward, it doesn't matter. He takes too much pride to let another person have that assignment. I've watched a lot of Raptors games this year, and he's always diving on the loose balls, getting people's faces, getting everyone fired up with that energy he plays with. Even though if you have seen any of the media coverage, OG, he's more of a quiet individual. He started this year telling the entire league that this was the year he was going to win the Defensive Player of the Year. He would have had a chance or at least some voting in the past, but if you guys aren't familiar with OG, he has has been having some injury woes the past couple years, but that's okay. This year he started it with the first 10 games averaging 3 steals a night, and now he's still leading the league in steals, averaging 2.2, and he's also got a block a game as well. OG is just the type of guy any team would want, and truthfully, he's a product of what the Toronto Raptors are. And to avoid jargon, I say that meaning Toronto has time and time again produced long, tenacious, and hungry wings or forwards. I mean, just to name a couple, you have Scotty Barnes, obviously Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher, and then obviously OG Anunoby. This is an award where the favorites change as the season does. I would not be surprised if Giannis or Mikal Bridges or even Brook Lopez came along and rightfully took this award. On to the sixth man of the year. I have to give it to Norman Powell, and this can kind of seem like a shock for some of you, I'm sure, because he doesn't have the craziest stats, but I'm kind of choosing him to make a point, and that point is that the sixth man of the year award should be actually a sixth man, not someone who's playing 32 plus minutes a night, and that would be a starter on all other 29 teams in the NBA. I'm not trying to take shots at Tyler Hero or any of the other recipients of the award in the past, but that's just how the award has always been. To me, it's kind of like when you look at the most improved player and then you give it to someone like last year Ja Morant or someone who was a rookie and then they get it in their second year in the league. It's like we know they were supposed to get better. But as for Norman Powell, he's on this season averaging 25 minutes a night, and this is a number that could lower when Paul George and Kawhi make their return. Obviously they've both been battling injury, but on those 25 minutes he's averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.5 assists on very respectable shooting splits. The other night he had 21 fourth quarter points and then a remarkable comeback win against the Blazers, his former team, and it was crazy. I'm just really excited to see this Clippers team come back to full strength come playoff time, and I'm even more excited to see what kind of names continue to run this race for the sixth man of the year. Like I said, as of right now, I got my boy Powell winning this. He's been phenomenal, just spacing the floor and moving in transition and being an active voice. I was a huge fan when they picked up Rocco and Norman Powell. They've both been playing very well for the Clippers over the last 18 months. Next, we're going to be talking about the coach of the year. So for the coach of the year, I'm going to have to go with Tyronn Lue. And quick shout out to Will Hardy. I love what you're doing in Utah, but I do have to say I think we'll start to see him slip in the standings and possibly trade some of their older pieces just because they may want to play the lottery next year, and I can't hate them for trying. But again, Will Hardy, what you're doing is amazing with the pieces you have. As for Ty Lue, as I mentioned when I was talking about Norm and the Clippers, they already have a couple comebacks on their resume this year, and he has been coaching more than 75% of this season without his 2 all-star superstar players, and he still manages night in and night out to keep these Clippers teams competitive. And this is a theme that's been going on for the last 3 years. It's honestly really, really refreshing to see the way that they play basketball. You can tell from Kawhi and Paul George all the way to Reggie Jackson or Vitia Zubac or even the newer faces like Preston Smith or Amir Coffey. You can just see he has all the trust in these new guys, and that's the winning type of mentality that you like to see on the court and in the locker room that all championships teams need to have. And now for the rookie of the year and the most improved player, I'm going to keep these very short and sweet because I wanted to say Desmond Bane was my most improved player, but he's obviously battling a lot of injury, and I just can't see myself saying anyone else. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton and Lauri Markkanen are both making incredible cases for this award, but these are guys where, kind of like I was talking about earlier, you expected them to be greater and just get better when they were, the ones that have the higher usage ratings, and they're just able to unlock their potential. As for the Rookie of the Year award, I would say it's Benedict Mathurin. I was going to say that Paolo can make a great case for this, but again, come game 62, 65, 70, that's probably when Paolo's case comes more to life. It's just that the recency bias kind of has Benedict winning this award, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about these two fine young talents when I haven't really given them the due diligence of watching them and watching the active reps. When I'm watching the Pacers this year, I've been honestly fully focused on the way that Tyrese Halliburton is somehow managing to average 40 assists in the last 3 games, or sorry, not average, but accumulate 40 assists with 0 turnovers. Like, those are the type of plays I'm looking for. I did see that Benedict had 4 points in the fourth quarter against the Lakers, and then he ended up having 16, or that was against the Nets, I'm sorry, and he had 16 in the fourth quarter. And it's just really exciting to see these players grow and just turn into these confident young stars. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was obviously a more free roam, the non-scripted video. Just let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys have any awards that you would change or any you agree with, again, I would love to hear it. You guys know I'm all about just spreading this community around, and I want to hear everyone's opinion, and everyone should be showing love to each other. Again, I appreciate if you guys made it this far. Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Peace.